and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, we have recognition. We have incoming school board member Beth Boucher. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ethan Harmon, newly elected student representative of the school board. Welcome. And Marissa McGlynn is the alternate for Ethan. So if Ethan's not available, Marissa hopefully would be available to take Ethan's place. Next up, election of officers. First office to be elected is chair. I'll accept nominations.
I've done a good job being chair the last couple of years. But I think it's how he wants to. I think I nominate Tony, but yeah.
All right. Any other nominations for chair? Hearing none. All those in favor of Tony for chair? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Tony. You're it. All right.
First year.
All right, our students, our school.
Yeah, keep going.
Wait.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
That's it, he's done. No more. That was like 13 seconds.
Well, I was thinking ahead, all right. So, we need a vice chair now. Any nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Steve for vice chair. He'd like to do it.
Else? Any nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor? Steve for vice chair?
Second, need a second.
No,
No,
no, sir. It's necessary.
not this.
All right, I'm gonna shut up too. Now I'm done.
Yeah, make me look bad.
Done.
All right, unanimous. And we need a secretary.
We usually take volunteers for this one.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, I'll be secretary again for Nina.
I'll nominate, Joe.
Anyone else? No? All those in favor? All right. Right, unanimous. Joe is the new secretary. Congratulations, Joe. Now our student art schools. Good for
You got it.
that. All right, up next, our student art schools. Ivor Holmes Grove Middle School Family and Consumer Sciences. The presentation.
Alvin and Ms. Kepler have a group of students to present. And right on. You can pull up another check.
So this is my first year of doing project-based learning. And,
Sorry, can I stop you for a second? Your name?
oh, I'm sorry, yes, I'm Crystal Kepler, the Family and Consumer Science teacher. And we have with us,
I'm Karina Lombard. Sixth grade.
Thank you.
thank you. So this year, we've been working on ice cream shops for the sixth grade class. Seventh grade, we've been doing a pajama party fashion show. And then eighth grade, we've been doing a mock restaurant. I have up there a couple different pictures showcasing the students working hard with preparing meals, which we prepared ahead of time. And then, as you can see, a lot of us are wearing a very similar t-shirt, as we have done some fashion designing using the Cricut. And this is the design that they came up with, a group of eighth graders. And then you can see that we have our customers or our guests come in, which are the parents and guardians. And students have different roles, where they're either like a waitress, a waiter, a host, hostess, chef, busser, or a cashier. We even have DoorDash for the teachers that are unable to make it to the classroom, because maybe they're in the classroom teaching. Or what was your class? What's the cuisine?
We, for my class, we did a Mexican restaurant. Our name was Honk and Julio's. And I was a waiter at a DoorDash show. We prepared all the food ourselves, like, a couple weeks, earlier. We had it delayed, so we did it a little later than
Oh, the
most
snow,
people,
yes.
because we had snow there again.
So for the Mexican restaurant, we had hot tamales, enchiladas, chili,
Mac and cheese,
oh yeah, mac and cheese. But we even had jalapeno macaroni and cheese.
roast tacos.
Oh, yes, beef and chicken. With the eighth graders, before the mock restaurant took place, we actually had administration come in, Dr. Waldron, Mr. Leatherman came in, along with a few other administration to conduct a mock interview. So students had the opportunity of preparing ahead of time potential questions that might be asked, and we practiced the handshake, the eye contact, the etiquette that go along with that. They also had to fill out the job application, create a resume ahead of time. So it's been a great experience. And then we have the sixth grade ice cream shop. So as you can see up here, we've prepared the ice cream ahead of time. Sometimes the ice cream can be very soft, which just goes to show the like, this is a different option than versus when you're buying it at the store. So think about homemade ice cream doesn't have all the preservatives in it. So delicious. As you can see, the kids are having fun with the t-shirt design. At least the Cricut and the heating press. Parents love coming in. Teachers also love coming in too, to be waited on and to receive some ice cream. Eva, would you like to?
Our ice cream shop name was Cherry on Top, and it was really fun to make all the ice cream. And we like messed up our strawberry ice cream once, and then we tried it again, and it was really good. So it was definitely a trial and error experience for ice cream, but it was really fun to do.
Awesome. A lot of students enjoy inventing their own flavors. One group invented a flavor with coffee and chocolate chips, I believe, or was it, no, Oreos. I don't know, there's been a few different flavors. And using the vanilla Oreos. I learned that there's something called dried freeze Skittles, which I've never heard of before. But that's something that the students taught me about. So yes, as Eva mentioned, that we learn the hard way when it's about reading the recipe, following, like executing the recipe, following the directions. And sometimes we've learned too the hard way of what it means to use equipment appropriately, because things can break down when not used correctly. Students have had fun with menu planning, creating the menu, creating invitations, sending them out. The names, oh yes, one group won the green shirt, like Shrek's ice cream shop. So when they were inventing their flavor, they wanted to create some kind of like a Shrek theme ice cream flavor to go along with that. So they're engaged. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. Some people are shy, so maybe they might prefer to be like the busser or like the ice cream scooper or the chef, but it's helping them to get out of their little shyness or their little shell there. So we have different roles that they get to apply for when it comes to applying for jobs for the application and defend like why they would like to take on this position. But most importantly, I would like to say thank you to the parent core group, because without their support and time, it would be a little bit more challenging for me to be able to pull this off smoothly and seamlessly. So thank you to the parent core group. Any other thoughts? Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions?
So what was the biggest obstacle that you found?
Being calm isn't making food like talking so crazy that maybe a chocolate chip flies across the room. For the ice cream, it was really like you don't know if it's gonna work until you like let it sit in the ice cream maker. And it's like you've already put a day's work into it, so you don't know how it's gonna come out.
Steve?
What was the favorite thing that you got to eat after you did the whole, the tacos?
We had like a bunch of ice cream left over and we had like brownies and cookies. So it was really good to eat all the ice cream at once. I personally couldn't eat the cookies because I was allergic to them, but I did take a whole bag of tortilla chips and hid them under my sweater.
That's great.
I have two things to say. I feel you guys did an amazing job coming up here. You guys are like, I just admire the courageousness you come up here to all these older people than you.
Nothing like safe.
And I definitely wouldn't be able to do what you were doing at your age. So I hope you take pride in that. And the second thing was I found this like idea really unique, and I found it. I wish I did it when I was in 8th grade, and I wish it was still here in the high school as well. So I really have to commend you on that.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that.
Good.
I sent you a picture, Tom.
All right. Anyone else? Sure. No, Donato?
My name is Carlos Moreno. I just wanted to say, thank you for putting that together, and our core group did a good job as well. I was a customer, and I got to do the cherry on top. And I'll say that in addition to everything that we're spoken about here, that it was pretty cool too, that they gave, all of us as customers, another little goal to just save money. And we actually use that, and seeing them kind of bring things up and kind of doing that as well. It really gave it the real feel of the restaurant. It was just funny seeing, just kind of like, you know, it was good seeing, their kind of trials and tribulations as they're running the restaurant, kind of like going like, oh, we didn't do this, or we forgot, like maybe we didn't see this person in time. But it was a really well-oiled machine. So kudos to the program.
Thank you.
Wise going only, cash only.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know how I forgot about that, but trying to incorporate real life math skills and also to bring in like, this is why math is meaningful. It's not just, you don't just see math in just one class, but it's across curricular and all classes. Yeah. And only can you imagine if I added taxes to that? Wrong taxes. I think it's 8%. That would not be fun to do.
Shop too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the classroom economy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have like, we get money for our jobs like in the class, not like waitress and stuff like that. We have like teacher's assistant, operator, and laundry attendant. And we get $5 every day we did our job. And we save up the money for the classroom shop. And we'd have a whole table full of stuff we could buy. And it was super fun.
So what Eva's referring to is the classroom economy, where I'm trying to incorporate some other life skills of like financial literacy, which is not always the most fun thing to discuss. But the idea is that they earn money and then twice a trimester, so around progress report card time and towards the end of the trimester, we pay taxes on the amount of money that we have. We also pay rent, and then we pay for living expenses. And then some students pay fines. Most do not have to pay fines, but with whatever money that they have left over for discretionary funds, they are allowed to go shopping in the classroom store. So that's what Eva's referring to. And yes, we do have some classroom jobs. So again, real life math right there too, but taxes is never a conversation.
Teach them while they're young.
Yes. Money goes.
Right. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much.
Nice job.
Right, up next. Public input. Anyone for public input?
Nobody's using that,
We'll leave public input for 30 minutes. And next is business, student representative to the school board. That's you.
So a big problem that has been going on for, I'd say, a long time is people not getting out of the bathrooms during RAM time. You don't want to, during most of the passing times, you can't go to the bathrooms because there's just way too many people there, mostly on the upper level. But it is really bad. There's like 10 guys in there when I go to the boys' bathroom, and they're all just staring at me when I go in. And I'm like, I'm sorry for using the bathroom where it's supposed to be. And I've heard from the girls' stories as well that there's just like a bunch of girls there just doing makeup and stuff. And I've heard stuff, but I haven't seen it. But there seems to be people are complaining a lot about vaping in the bathrooms as well. I don't know what the situation is with the detectors. But there've been a lot of complaints from like multiple people. And when I got elected for student rep, a bunch of my friends and a bunch of people just asked me, what are you going to do about people in the bathrooms and people vaping in the bathrooms? So I feel like that's a big issue. On to my second thing. I feel like the job fair was received very well today. And I think it was a good thing. I don't know. That's all I have for now.
Thank you very much.
I know we talked about the vapes before. They're setting on them to make them more.
They're brand new.
Well, that's what I mean, though. I mean, I know we just bought them over the summer.
I can go and look at the data. I think we were looking at the data, the number of hits we get. I don't have it off the
It
top of
wasn't a
my head.
lot.
Huh?
It wasn't a lot.
No.
I mean, do we have to make them more sensitive? I don't know if there's an adjustment you can do or what, so.
I think, but just like with anything, kids can be, when you figure out a system, they figure out another system. So there's things that you can buy that can hide the smoke, wrap the vape, whole 9 yards. So it gets,
They just gave it all away.
we're actually, well, they know that. All they gotta do is Google it. We're actually,
I'm telling them how to
I
find
was
it.
gonna bring forward, we're actually looking at bringing, wands in. Metal detectors.
Okay.
We actually have one at the high school, but we don't have a policies. So we're looking at bringing that, Tom and Pete have talked about using wands because if there's 15 kids in a bathroom or 10 kids in a bathroom, or even 5 kids in a bathroom, you can't catch who's doing it. Because they refuse a search and you can't suspend 5 kids. There's only one who's doing it. So now we can start maybe searching with the wand.
How the law works.
Well,
If I would get pinched.
no, it doesn't. So,
Accessory to,
what's that?
you got accessory to the crime. They're just as guilty.
You have to catch them with the crime though. There's nothing on them. So we can't pat them down. So I can't pat him down.
So even if he has a wand and it goes off,
That gives me the 51%. Why is it going up?
and then what?
Then I can suspend, then I can deal with it.
But he still doesn't have to empty his pockets.
He better empty his pockets, otherwise he gets the 51%.
That's all I need is 51%. So if there's something in your pocket and you don't want to show it to me, that's 51%.
Well, you can call the police in, right? They can search him.
We're talking to them. We're not 100% sure on that.
This is a big problem at the middle school too. I caught a girl the last day of my job. I know she was the only one in the bathroom. And when Bridget came up, nothing went off on the office.
Yep.
By the time they get back to class, either they've hidden it somewhere,
Flush it down the toilet, whole 9 yards. Yep.
or they've given it, passed it off to another student already.
Yep.
Up in the 7th grade bathroom, they've broken things in there. They stand on the handicap thing and they hide, last year it was the liquor bottles and other things, and they hide them in the ceiling.
So,
I'm not climbing up there and checking.
we are talking about that.
It's a-
That's another layer of what I want to say, the ability to catch. So we would have to create a policy and then policy would have to come forward and then you give us the authority to use those wands. If you do. If you don't, you don't. Other districts are using them because we asked what other districts are using and that's what they're using. We actually have one at the high school. We didn't even know it. Pete found it in a drawer. So we have one already.
Are there drop ceilings in the bathrooms?
Yeah, but there's also sensitive, so there's motion detectors on them, and everything. So if they go up and touch them, they're tamper proof. So supposedly, but again,
There's also vape detectors in there too, but
that's right.
those
They're not
are
working.
working or not
They
working.
do work, they get hits, but again, if there's 5 or 6 kids in there,
So if it goes off, does that send a signal to the office or does it make a noise in there?
it makes an alarm. They're silent. Matt's here, they're silent, right? The new ones? They're silent. So before they would it would make a noise and they take off. Now they don't know. You know, it doesn't make a noise, but it makes an alert in the office.
So they just go down and say, hey, get out of here because there's too many people in here for me to.
They will break it up like that. They'll check, they'll look, they'll ask some questions, but if there are too many kids, they tend to move on because they're not, you know, what are you guys doing? Who did it? They all clam up. And we, you know, but if it's a single bathroom, it's pretty easy to catch them then. Or if they're by themselves.
So is that the option? Can we put a key on a giant hubcap and make a noise or something?
We'd have to add doors. We don't have doors.
Middle school did that. They sent them down to, so there's certain students that were sent to the,
Yep. Certain
outside,
students get
you
multiple
know,
hips that restricted their
sign in
bathroom
down at the
use.
office and go.
So then they were actually doing it in the single stalls, the middle school. So we put in a vape detector in there as well.
Doing it in the classroom too.
It just gets better and better.
Yeah, they hide it in their sweatshirt and they, you know.
So if they're doing it in the classroom, they can get away with it and we can't catch them.
Especially if it doesn't release anything anymore, it's kind of.
Well, you get that vape catching device.
I mean, I don't say it's the age old adage when I was growing up, it was chewing tobacco and then they outlawed chewing, spitting in a thing. So then they walked around with a can and we outlawed that. Then what did kids do? They swallowed it.
Jeez.
So
Kids that desperate.
yes, they were back then. So that's the issue. It's very, you know, what I want to say addictive and, you know, they,
Peanut butter oven.
industry tailors to the students and it's not much of a fine when they get it, you know, it's just a $10 misdemeanor or $15, whatever it is, fine. That even if they don't pay, what happens? Nothing.
Seems to be the trend. All right, anything else on that? No. Right up next, monthly financial update.
Financials that you have tonight go through February 2025. The first page is the revenues. Everything is coming in steadily. It looks like we did receive some more money for Medicaid already in March. We received an additional $12,000. So there we're slowly closing the gap. Special ed aid, I had increased the revenue budget for this year from $200,000 to $300,000 because that is what we were told at the time that we would be seeing some increase, but we weren't going to be receiving an increase as we had in years prior. And then, as you know, after the budget was set, they approved to give us more money. So right now we have $410,000 more for special education aid. And then the other thing that we have is the impact fees. Those came in at $36,000 less than what we had anticipated. But right now, except for those three, everything else is coming in steadily.
On the revenue, specifically for, after school, before school revenue and the Medicaid, where I believe historically, after school and before school, we've been over.
Mhm.
Can we, for the 25, 26, increase those estimates as we don't, I believe we can do that at this point, can't we?
For next year, yes, we don't.
25, 26.
Yeah, we don't set those until October, November of next year.
Right.
So,
I was just, didn't know if we could adjust because we had set them already or estimated them. And the Medicaid, do we think we're continuing will we, in years to come, continue to be significantly more than the 300 or 300 is really where we're going to be?
I think it depends on the state right now and where they're going to go. And with the commissioner leaving and a new one coming on, depending on what they're going to make those decisions over the next year, I would think that that would, because as you know, like they were not going to fund us as much. And then all of a sudden he decided they were going to still fund us more, but not as much as we received during COVID. So I think they're trying to find like a happy balance.
I'm hearing that we should probably then wait on doing anything more for building, I mean, the Medicaid,
Medicaid.
but the school before and after, we could potentially raise that up a little bit.
I did increase the before school for next year. I want to say by $25,000 because we did add another session. There was such an increase for enrollment there this year that we added another session. So we already have that staff member in place, but we're receiving the revenue as well.
Thank you.
Welcome. And then once we get closer to next year, when we come to set the tax rate, that's when I'll be making those decisions with like the special ed department to find out exactly, you know, how are we doing with Medicaid? What are we doing with special ed aid? How's it looking? Any questions on the revenue? The next page before you is the summary of general fund expenditures by object code. So from the salaries through the benefits, we've been pretty consistent in regards to having an excess in funds because of staffing, shortage of. And then we've also, have people taking, plans less than what we anticipated for insurances. And then after that, everything is pretty much status quo in regards to what we're spending, what the tuitions are, the transportation, and all of that. So right now I'm looking at to be returning still about $1 million, which is pretty close to what I estimated last month. Any questions there?
Questions?
The next page is the summary of lunch fund revenues and expenditures. Right now, I'm still hoping to possibly be receiving with the changes that we're doing in that department, receiving what we should be receiving for revenue. And then as you can see, I'm anticipating to probably have about $109,000 left in expenditures that won't be spent due to staffing again, mostly. So right now, if I had to make the transfer from the general fund, instead of $100,000, it would look more about $75,000.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Food service. Where they've cut certain institutions that we've had for a couple of years now. Specifically, I don't know if we had the local, farmers food issue that they kind of cut already. You know, some states have kind of brought it back, or they might bring it back. Do we use that, and how much will it affect us? I know you can't answer that now, but
Can't, Joe, but I can look into it
thank you.
and get it to you by the Friday memo.
That's fine.
You're speaking about the farm to table
Yeah.
specifically? I know there's been a lot of talk about that. So I think right now, I think what's been happening is that we actually have an excess of commodities from the state. And Elise has been really good about trying to use that and get those used before we start receiving more product. So we're trying to use the product that we already have on hand. So she's cut down actually a lot on her spending in regards to food and supplies. But I'll look into that. And then after that is the detail of expenditures by object codes. Beth, I always offer this. If you have any questions whatsoever in regards to the financials, Ethan, you too. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, need explanations, want a rundown of how things work or whatever, I'm always available to help you out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it? Great, thank
You're
you.
not gonna go line by line for 19 pages?
No, I don't want to bore you to sleep.
Miss those budget meetings, do you?
I'm jonesing for some information, Tony.
We'll get to that later.
Be an opening coming up here in just 10 minutes.
What? Who phone who dis?
Right, up next, the 2025-26 MS-22 signing. We have,
Yeah, that's still me too, isn't it?
there's still
So
a,
here's the MS-22. Dana came in tonight to sign it and Terry has signed it. I hand wrote all of your names over to the side. Basically, this is wanting to know what the voters approved by appropriations. So the warrant articles were already in there for deliberative, for voting and everything like that. I have to individually go through and say which ones passed and which ones failed, if there were any amendments done.
Would I have to use a specific blue pen or can I use my own?
You can use whatever. And then what this report specifically does is, one, it adds up all of the appropriations that were voted in the affirmative. And then it's broken out by elementary school, middle school, and high school. So the default was $31,314,295. The REA contract that passed was $415,215. The capital improvement passed for $549,038. The capital reserve fund from surplus passed for $450,000. And then the citizens petition warrant article for $3 passed. So the total on that sheet is $32,728,551.
the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, so where are we? Technology update. Come on now, come on up. They're following you? Yeah. Where's my name? So. Sir.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so, this is like a recap from, the last time I was here, which I think was in December, so, I kind of started it off, during Christmas break, what we did, and then going forward, a big thing we did on Christmas break was I sold a ton of stuff on Gov Deals that we were no longer using. I don't remember my exact profit, but I made like $2,000+ which was pretty good. I didn't sell crazy stuff either, so I was very surprised by a lot of the bids we got. We also did recycle the equipment that I couldn't sell. So we did a lot of clean out there. A big reason was because the high school tech office was in room 104 and now we moved it to room 120, which has the sliding, used to be the Ram Shack. So it's kind of like a tech help desk now, which I think is really cool. Todd replaced the garage door for me because we opened it and it slammed down, so we didn't want that. So the tech here has been using that to, have the kids walk up there if they want instead of coming in the office. We also did a lot of classroom cleanup. We still have some rooms that have like projectors that no longer need them. That's always something we kind of forget about. So we took down a bunch of projectors, which was a big thing I sold. And then we ripped out some of the HDMI cables that hang from the ceiling that no longer we need. And went through the classrooms to see what rooms will need what, after for next year, just to make sure our inventory is right for who doesn't have a Promethean board and stuff like that. And then one big thing that happened was Power School had a data breach. Wasn't just our school, it was thousands around the world. But basically I joined a bunch of meetings. I met with Primex, did a lot of stuff there, checked what was in our data tables in Power School, and luckily we didn't have, other schools had a lot more filled out, I should say. We don't have a lot of that info in there for teachers and students. So I've still been working on that since January, notifying people, and Power School did a majority of that, so I didn't have to reach out to every family. And then lately they came out with a notice saying that the big thing was that none of the data actually made it public during the breach. So they did come out a couple of weeks ago and send out another email saying that they confirmed that, working with other companies, that none of the information actually ever made it out of the, what you call it, hacker. So that was good. And then in February, big thing we did, we've been putting Windows 11 on all the laptops that we have that aren't in use right now, which isn't many, but we try and get them ready so that anyone who has a Windows 10 device, they can be updated, since Windows 10 is going to be, it's not end of life, but it'll stop getting updates in October or September of this year. So that's a big security risk if we can't have the Windows updates done. With that, we also went around each school and checked all the teachers' computers to make sure that our inventory was right on what model they had and operating system. Check, where they were in the replacement cycle, who's had the laptop the longest. So we have a spreadsheet that we made for that, which will help when we give out the Chromebooks now that we're going to buy this year, this summer. We worked with the EEI company, and they needed some internet lines run. So we ran them for them over February break to the freezers at each school. They installed some controllers that they can monitor from remotely, basically. And they can, they do a lot of other stuff, but basically, Alyssa and Todd and the company monitors them to make sure nothing's happening, bad for the food in there. So we ran the internet lines for that.
So the meatballs stay frozen?
Exactly.
Paid a lot for those. Exactly right.
We did install additional vape detectors over the break too. As Terry said, I put one in the middle school bathroom. I think the big reason for that is, a lot of times kids would ask to use the bathroom excessively, so they thought maybe they're for a reason. I will say, since putting it in there, we have not got one hit in there at all.
That's not true. Day one we did.
Yes, you're right. Sorry. We
Then
had,
after that, it went away.
but that was it.
They knew it was there. No, because they knew it was there.
Word spread.
Yeah, it's pretty, the new ones are very incognito, I'll tell you now. So that was good. We also improved the Gmail rules and spam filters. A lot of the times what happens is someone's account, if it does get breached, it emails out to the entire district trying to get people to click stuff. So it's hard for me to make the rules, because if, for example, we have groups, this teacher sends out a group email and the group has 90 people in it. Now I just blocked her from doing that because I restricted it to only send to like 80 people. So I've been playing around with the rules so that if somebody does get compromised and tries to email the entire student population now, it won't send. It will basically tell them no, which I'm hoping stops them from trying on other people's accounts too. It doesn't happen often, but we've had a few instances this year. And also the spam filter I have set up catches a lot of emails that I get in the tech director group that come from other schools that this happens to. They're like other school accounts get breached and then they try and email our school. So I've gotten probably 15 to 20 of those before they actually make it to people's inboxes, which is good. I'm never going to get them all, but that's something I was working on. And we did send out semester 1 report cards and stored the grades for the semester at the high school. And since then, we've done it at the middle school now. That was the first time doing it with the new 100-point scale that I made. And I didn't have any issues, which is good. You know, the GPA is calculated, everything works. That was very exciting for me. Don't worry about that. I couldn't fully test it until we had completed semester. So, so in the last couple of weeks, one big thing is I got the new student registration ready for any kindergarten student who wants to register now. We usually open that up for the entire school closer to the summertime. But I was able to get that launched and it's basically a giant form that I have to keep editing with PowerSchool and add any new documents or when the handbooks are ready, I'll add them in and everything like that. We also built an emergency contact field in PowerSchool for staff members. We didn't have that information in there, but now I've basically created a section where the secretaries at each school can enter in the info that the teachers or staff send them. Pretty easy process, and so far the schools have been adding it in as they get the information. I sent out like a Google form and they just put down just their basic contacts. A lot of the times it's like we don't have the information in there. I helped Jennifer Haywood with the NHI index tenants code, which is basically the new way that you report to the state. You know, our absences and everything like that since they switched from I4C to the NHI index now. So there was a bunch of errors in our spreadsheets and the way we pull codes, and we had to adjust some hours and stuff like that. So we're able to get the middle of year report, it's called MOY. We submitted that and she was able to get no errors. So that was good. The next one will be the end of year report, which is a lot more intense to try and.
What's that one called?
EOY.
There we go.
EOY is beginning of the year.
I'm the thread pattern here.
Honestly, I didn't get it at first. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the Chromebook for the teachers. Not gonna lie, I get a lot of comments in the halls since that decision we made to switch to Chromebooks for this coming year is happening. But I just, I wanted to come on here and say that I have done extensive testing. I've got a couple models from our vendor to try on the Promethean boards. I've also opened 20 tabs. I used one day, Cam used one. And the model that we're going to go with is honestly, if I gave it to a teacher and they didn't read the front that says Chromebook Plus, I think they would never know. They're very good. They have touchscreen, full HD screens. They're 15-inch size, so they're not small. They have dedicated graphics card. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the specs I could go in, but basically, I mean, everything I've thrown at them from my testing has been fine. So I just want to say, I think you got to give them a chance. I know switching from a Windows operating system to Chromebook can be a little bit tough, but I think with a little trial and error, we can get it to work. Where you won't notice any issues when teaching. So,
Hold on one second, Joe.
Are they gonna all have like Microsoft 365 on them? So if they need to.
yeah, we do have that. We have the online version for free, so anyone can go to the website and use them. We have the latest version on there. Word, Office, Excel. Those work fine. I actually tested those. And they just for ease of use, I've got ones that have 2 USB-C ports, a full HDMI port, so they won't need adapters. They have regular USB-A ports and everything, so try to think of everything they would need so that we don't, it'll act just like a laptop. Honestly, some of them have more ports than our laptops have. Yeah, they can use Office Online, they can use Google, obviously Google Docs. They do have 256 gig hard drives too, which most of the stuff you'd be saving in Google Drive, but if you did save stuff to the Chromebook, I mean, it has plenty of space to do that. I wouldn't recommend that in the cloud, but if you do. I just wanted to.
A question real quick. So what is the price difference in these models that you tested or the ones that you would go with as opposed to the ones we give the students? Significant,
It's
minor?
about double the cost. Student ones would pay usually like in the 200s, low 200s. This one's about 500. So about double the cost. It is a bigger computer, obviously, more specs.
What about the Windows machines they were getting? How much of those?
I mean, it's varied each year, but I'd say ballpark, I think the last ones we bought were like either right, like at 1,000 or like 1,000, 1,100. So they're about half the cost.
About half of the, okay. So yeah, so double what the kids are getting, but still half of what they were.
Half of the cost.
Thank you.
Just last thing, some upcoming tasks. Obviously, we're not gonna be buying enough Chromebooks the first year for every teacher or anything, so we still do have some Windows devices that will be out there. So the plan is on April break, I have my team members have reached out to the teachers and they're going to be reaching out to the teachers in their school and gonna try and get them to give up their laptop like a day or two if they want, instead of giving it up over the summer to get them on Windows 11 if they're not. Still kind of figuring out that schedule there. Obviously, two-factor for teachers is still in the works. It's tough to find a time to get everyone to like enroll in two-factor or use the UVT when they're teaching class and stuff. Obviously, returning student registration, it also needs to be done. That's something I'm working on now that we usually launch in July. That'll be for any kid already in the district. Basically do the same thing I did for new students, except we add in the new handbooks and any other changes, and then the parents can go in and reconfirm all the information or change anything they need to put in PowerSchool. I've been working with vendors that send us the software renewals, seeing, the best prices and if we still use the software, which I always do, try and get the best price. And I've been working on the plan for the summer collection and of the student laptops, and then also working on updating teacher computers. That's pretty much it.
What are you talking summer, huh?
Yeah. Sounds quick.
Here, quick.
Any questions? Steve?
So we've talked a little bit about HDMIs and ports, and have you looked into the wireless options for folks? I know there's adapters you can put on the displays.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't. I know you can use those. I think a lot of it is the cables are all running the ceilings from like when we have the smart board still. So
Right.
we usually just,
Just
take it down and run it to the Promethean now and then put it to their desk. So I think it's more that we haven't done that. The only other, well, I guess if they have a dongle, I worry sometimes the students would try and cast it.
Screencast or whatever. Yeah, you'd have to put some restrictions on that.
Yeah.
That could be
Yeah, I
problematic.
just, honestly,
Problem with vapes.
every time we're here, I see someone struggle with getting connected to the HDMI, and
Yeah,
it always takes a minute to recognize what's going on. So I thought, a wireless system might be handy in at least in some spots. I didn't know if you had looked at it or not.
no, I actually, I heard you talking, Joe, about the projector and the tab. I was working with Todd and I forget the guy's name, but he does the filming for like the town deliberative. He was giving me some ideas, but I think the TVs is a better option. And I was looking into that for the TVs, just so that way we can put the same image on both TVs.
Yeah.
On both sides of the stage, and it would be much better for like events, because that projector and the light is just not working well. I have looked in it. But not in the classroom.
Cool. Just curious. Thanks.
Anyone else? John?
Beth, regarding Pelham and what happened with the Pelham School District. Have we know enough, do you know enough information to say, hey, we can improve on something, or not enough information yet?
I would say not yet. I think the big thing is with that breach is we're cloud hosted here, so we don't have an on-site server.
Okay.
So like a lot of it is they're responsible for our data, fortunately, but what I put in there obviously be considered PII or anything like that we could then have to notify people, but that breach was basically on their end because somebody got someone that worked there leaked out their support account, which had access to everybody's system. So nothing I could have really prevented, unless I was sitting there reading the Power School logs all night, which I don't do, but no, I mean, they've come out with a lot of things on that now. Like, so when they do updates now, I actually get an email on Friday night that says Power School would like to update your server. Here's the person doing it and all this. And I have to hit accept in order for them to actually run them. Before I never even, I mean, I would get the email that it ran an update, but so there's been a lot of stuff like that.
Just because with Pelham, I mean, they're down, no
Yeah.
phones,
Yeah.
internet down. And I don't know how long it's down for. Originally, they were thinking 2 weeks, but I was just,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Anyone else? Joe?
When am I gonna have to bring in my laptop? Because I'm sure it just hasn't been updated.
Whenever you want, we can do it here.
Okay.
The imaging process takes about maybe 45 minutes.
Just want to leave it after a board meeting sometime. I can take it over and then you can pick it up at SAU. Yeah, just, we don't have to save a trip.
All right, anything else? Anyone? All right, thank
Thanks,
you very
man.
much. Yeah, we can close public comment now. We're gonna grab those.
Yeah, I got it.
Next, occupational therapist position.
Yeah, our occupational therapist is retired and we have posted and we've gotten a large number of applicants, which has made Jody think outside the box. So our current occupational therapist contracted service, so we have one and then we contract services here at preschool and so, excuse me. Our current occupational therapist contracted services are for about 20 hours per week, part-time for preschool and high school. Mostly it's preschool and it's about $98 an hour. Next year, we're looking at adding 25 hours per week at $103 an hour. So the estimate for next year is between $74,160 and $92,700. We would like to look at potentially hiring for that position. It's a CBA position, full-time rather than contracting out. The estimated cost would be a wash, so it's about the same, depending on benefits, or there could be a slight savings to the district, depending on where they fall on the CBA salary scale. But we'll have our own person, more hours to help support LRES, and just as we know, when they work here, they tend to be a little bit more vested. So that's instead of paying a contractor, we're looking at adding our own position.
So there's no issues with the salary and the CBA salary
Yeah,
schedule?
yes.
Being able
We
to,
would have to get somebody who wants to be, who wants the benefits and wants to get in a retirement system,
Mhm.
because they definitely make more money on the outside. So as we've done this, we had a lot of candidates we've been offering, but we really haven't any luck. But if we do get luck, I don't want to lose someone by not having the opportunity to say, hey, we can get two instead of one.
questions, anyone?
So, go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I was gonna make a motion, so I'll let you answer.
oh, yeah, so you're saying this would add a second person or replace the existing?
Right now, we have a
person?
full-time person. She primarily works, or she primarily works at the elementary school. We contract out, she works primarily at the elementary school and a little bit at the middle school. We contract out here because a lot of our preschool students need that occupational therapy, why a lot of them are identified. And then we have some students here who also at the high school need that. So that's contracted out for 20 hours a week.
So one full-time, 120 hours.
Yep. For the amount of money we're paying that contract, ballpark.
Right.
We could hire somebody full-time and then make sure we're servicing everyone here and help out down at LRES. You know, maybe a day a week, they go down there and help out too, to make sure we're getting everybody the services that they need.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I ask my question, make my motion. The one thing that this includes or doesn't include on the salary side is the health insurance and all the other benefits.
I think it does 74 to 92. I think it's pretty close because I don't think anyone's making 92,000 without benefits on the CBA.
Well, at 70,000, they would be at the 92 without
Yep.
health insurance.
No, Marjorie, you're the one did you crunch the CBA numbers on or?
Well, just go by 70.
Yeah.
Multiply 70,000 by 20, that's 14,000 for just retirement. And then several $1,000s more for FICA. You're up to 90. And I'm going to support it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I just want to make sure everybody understands that it could potentially, depending on how high the person is on the salary schedule, be much more expensive.
If they're maxed out, I would say, yeah, but if they come in, you're fine.
Lower.
Yeah.
Just because of what insurance they take. If they take family,
Yeah.
Buyout, push that buyout.
Well,
all right. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page. I'll make a motion that we authorize the superintendent to hire occupational therapist position under the CBA. Is that what you're looking for?
yes, sir.
I'll second.
A second. Any discussion?
And just to clarify, it's the second position because we already have the first.
First one's already in.
And they're already on our payroll, the first one?
Yes, she's the
Current.
current hiring.
And again, even if it does cost a little bit more, we're getting them for
Oh, yeah.
full-time. as opposed
Full-time
to, you
and-
know, Part-time, come and go.
As we've seen, sometimes contractors aren't always as vested, to use
Right.
Terry's word.
Where you get different people in and out, no continuity, right?
Yep.
Right, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Let us know how you do on that.
I will.
All right, 2025 graduation date. This is always
Saying Tony, it's here.
a fun.
Traditionally, it's always been the Friday before the last Friday, so that would make it June 6th. Tradition. I don't care if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I've been told tradition. So that's where I'm at.
God forbid you break.
John?
Huh?
I said, God forbid you break today's
Ooh.
tradition.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. I'm not gonna support it again. The school year for all the other students is ending Monday, the 16th.
Correct.
If we have graduation the 6th, they don't do any finals that week because it's too much work, I guess. That means senior finals will be the 27th through the 30th, the last day of classes for those students that don't need to take finals would be the 23rd of May.
Nay.
So those students would be 16 days ahead of the schedule of everybody else, just because of the seniors. And then the ones that have to take finals up to the last day would be 11 days. And I don't know why we're in the education business. We should be encouraging as many days as possible to be educated. So I will object to the 6th.
Anyone else? Joe?
I've said it before. They're not educated by the time this rolls around. An extra couple days, ain't gonna make a whole big difference. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, to me, I hope we don't have board members thinking that way because every day we can educate should be prized possession because we only get so many of them. And we should use them to the fullest extent.
Anyone else have anything?
I mean, I do kind of agree, but I feel like there should be a couple of days that they get before everybody else because it's their senior year, like they're done. And they should kind of get the benefits, but like not as much as like more than a week off of everybody else, I think.
What are the other options?
You have it on the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Or you could even have it on the 13th.
Yeah, no, about that one. What are these days on the calendar for?
Monday the 9th, Tuesday the 10th, Wednesday 11th, Thursday the 12th.
What about,
13th.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's not-
yeah, I don't know that anyone wants to graduate on a Friday the 13th.
Well, that's why I said Friday, and he said, well, I'm not so sure about that. That would be the last, then the students would come in on the 16th for half a day, the rest of them.
what about, which used to be tradition, going as days that week of graduation, like up to Tuesday on finals?
I don't know what day that'd be, John.
I'd say Tuesday.
The 10th.
The 10th.
No, 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 no.
The
If you're
third?
having graduation the 6th, right? That's what you're proposing.
Yep.
I'm suggesting, why don't we have finals go up for seniors until
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Tuesday?
When would they end now? On the Friday the 30th?
The Friday the 30th would be because they have activities for seniors. They need to march. Back in the day, we'd march after finals. But again, that's my fun.
Anyone?
Is this a action or what are we talking?
Listen to,
There you go.
I couldn't remember if it was informational.
graduation day.
I'll second.
All right, Steve seconds. Discussion. You know where John stands. All right. Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All those opposed? 4-1 with John in opposition. Thank you. All right.
So, sorry, can I ask, it's not on the agenda, but I do have a question, because I know we ended up doing it last year. I know John's gonna hate this one even more. And we don't have to talk about it tonight, but maybe next time, but if our last day is gonna be Monday, the 16th.
You just answer that. We're gonna get 5 minutes snowstorm.
I'm just saying, maybe, we
No.
talk about that maybe in a meeting.
Being on the assistant chair there, you can,
I'm just,
Is that one for future,
that could be future meeting.
future agenda items? Yeah.
Conversation, yeah.
To that.
We'll get, all right, sorry.
But that is always a fun discussion as well. All right, so where are we now? Policy annual review. What do we got for policies? BCB, is it first reading?
All it is to me is that we need to review them and then to meet the auditor's wishes. And if we just say that we've reviewed them, then we can put on the policy that we reviewed them on March 19th, 2025.
ABCB.
So it's we don't need to read them. We did review.
All right, these are up for review, everybody. Do I need to list them off? Or?
I would list them off.
Okay, so we got policy JICC, student conduct on school buses. Any major changes on that one?
I think you jumped ahead to the BCA.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, sorry.
Annual review.
All right. BCA, school board member ethics. Basic stuff.
And then
And BCB, school board member conflict of interest.
and that's the extent of it you're looking for.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
That's all you need?
Let you all look at them, agree with it, have any questions?
I have a list.
Did
I'll have
roll.
a list and I'll bring them to you.
Let's roll.
I agree with it, but I've read it. What is that one? Done. New revised policies, first reading. We got Steve JICC, student conduct on school buses. This is pretty significant revisions. Do we have to read this out or?
No. It's ask if anybody has questions.
Anybody have any questions about it or comments about JICC? None. Okay. Next, JLCJA. Emergency plan for sports related injuries.
That's the only revision. That one line.
Appears to be. Yep. But we had that anyway, right? That's typically something we practice.
And the legal references were stricken out there on the bottom.
At the bottom.
This one just requires that school sponsored activities for grades 6 through 12 be supervised by a person training CPR. Next, JLD, school guidance and counseling program.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments about JLD? It will be provided a report here. Let's get that. Next. New revised policy, second reading. So first is BBBF, student member of school board. Any questions or comments about policy BBEF? John,
Make a motion to approve policy BBBF.
Second.
second by Steve. Discussion? None? Vote? All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Policy DAF, administration of federal grant funds.
Make a motion to approve policy DAF.
Second. By Steve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. DID, inventory and management of assets. That says new, but we're at second reading. Okay.
Yes.
John,
Make a motion to approve policy DID.
Second.
Joe, second. Discussion? Vote, all those in favor? Aye, it's unanimous. And DIDR, we need a motion to redact. John,
Make a motion to redact policy DID-R.
second by Steve, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous as well, thank you.
It's committee assignments. I'll be back in like 10 minutes.
So, school board committee assignments, fun stuff. Stuff they don't tell you about when they're like, hey, run for school board.
Exactly.
So, there we go. All right, first, policy committee. John? Anyone else want policy? I mean, you don't have to. Okay.
I didn't say I'd do it if I didn't want to.
No, we don't do an alternate for that one, right?
That's correct.
Technology committee, any volunteers? Steve, all right. Strategic planning committee. John, you want to go on it?
Yep.
All
We
right,
do need an alternate for the tech committee.
we do?
Well,
All right.
it looks like there's a spot.
Yeah, you're right. I missed that one. So let's go back here.
Sorry.
Wants to be alternate for the technology committee.
I'll be alternate for that.
Now back to strategic planning. John, you want to be on strategic planning?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Come on, I guess I'll do that one. Wait a second. Wellness committee.
I'll do that one.
Oh, great. One more.
Need a second.
I can do that. It's gonna be online anyhow, so.
Pretty easy too.
Is that an online one? I just never know what time some of these are.
Pretty much after school on that one.
So Joe?
Yeah.
Wellness? All right, REA sick leave bank. Another one you get an email and either do or don't. Is there any physical meetings involved with that?
I don't think so.
I think this one is very sporadic. I think they might meet like once or twice a year, and I believe they just met within this past month. I don't know if there's any more coming up. You basically meet with Karen and anybody else that's involved with the sick leave bank, and you get together and
This
just.
past month? Cause I
Huh?
didn't get an invite.
A little while ago. I don't think it
I
was this
think there
month.
was, because we've been questioning if the hours, the amount that was approved, if they were hours or days. So we're trying to figure that out right now.
I'm on it.
I can look into that if you're not on there. Have you not gotten one all year?
No, cause I got one before.
Last
When
time they
was the
went,
last time? I may be off.
I wanna say last year was.
No,
Oh, no, they had one, yeah.
they handed out a lot of money too, Joe.
Meeting and why?
Kidding. I'm kidding.
Joe,
We needed you there.
I saw the gas being thrown.
did we have a taker on that one?
I don't believe so.
Sorry.
I'll jump in.
All right.
Since when they're gonna meet 19 times this year now, because I'm on.
And I think they may meet remotely.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, so I think they might like do like a Google Meet or something.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those are always easy.
Right.
Easier and
Like Seacoast.
All right, SST,
What CTV did you say?
Seacoast, SST,
Seacoast.
SST, alternate for that. That's a during the day thing or
4 o'clock,
end of the
4,
afternoon?
4:30.
4 o'clock. We're down at half an hour.
Tuesday.
Usually.
Hmm.
4 o'clock usually. At
Monday.
the latest, it's an hour. It's a first Monday or second Monday.
You have to go to exit after the.
Huh?
Isn't it the third Monday usually?
Third
You gotta
Monday,
go
sorry.
to- Oh, yeah. No.
Mondays don't work for me.
I couldn't make it.
Yeah. It's an easy one.
Came back.
Mondays at 4.
Okay.
An alternate one anyway.
Yeah, I can't do Mondays either.
Ethan, run around.
Oh, well. Ken does the same thing. I'm like, there's nobody over there. It doesn't matter.
over there.
We're saving money. What do we save if we keep turning them on?
Cable TV.
We're saving money.
I gotta look better than like.
I need the right lighting.
All right. Any SST alternate? Anyone? Like I said, Mondays don't work for
I'll be
me.
an
I
alternate.
have previous engagements on Mondays.
I'll be the
Anything
All right.
fun?
Oh, sit in this room.
Pretty regular too.
Yeah. Transportation Committee.
How often do they? What's that?
I'll do it.
Jim will do that. Yeah. Alternate,
You say you were doing.
transportation for alternate,
Just
John.
you drive to a bus stop and see if they want to change the bus stop.
Yeah, I can alter
A
that.
lot of just looking at maps and be like, yeah, no. So Steve
No
alternate.
backpack involved.
All right. Budget Committee.
Don't look at me.
I'll do
Hmm.
You want, all right. We'll talk about.
I know, I'm just happy someone else.
No, you want to stay away from that one.
He told me which ones to.
You're gonna wanna watch a few before you.
might
get
wanna
them.
learn a lot.
Sometimes just do this and that. You don't get.
Not me, I need to wear armor and bring a shield.
You wait with this right now
They
before
threw
I.
me right in the fire the first year. I was say do it like.
Being nice to me.
Volunteer,
I
Joe.
appreciate it.
And then Joe come in and said, I'm not doing that again. I said, give it to me. I'll be the alternate if nobody else wants to.
I could can't. I don't. think-
Can you?
Yeah, all conflict.
Are you on the budget
I
committee
was-
for the?
So I was the school board rep my first year as a selectman.
So, but there are
I mean-
two selectmen though already, right? Or one?
One.
I mean, hey,
I don't mind.
if nobody wants it, I
Who's
mean,
the selectman?
we haven't got that
You
far.
haven't got
yet.
that
We
far
haven't-
yet. So you obviously couldn't fill both spots. That'd be weird. Yeah, wait, I mean, it's up to you. Listen, I don't know why I'm talking. I'm out of. I was just curious.
What you
I mean,
Ethan?
if he's allowed to, I don't.
I think we went through this last year and he was. He just
I
had.
don't remember
some things with
any
the
issues, yeah.
So we got legal advice and
Okay,
was.
I'll feel allowed to.
we would have said
Merry
no
Christmas.
to that, but I know I was.
Right, and I'm pretty sure we asked legal. about
You have to make sure that you're basically, speaking as only a
Right,
board member.
correct.
And John never misses a meeting, so.
All right, I'll do the alternate for that.
I'm gonna watch from a very safe distance.
All right, cable committee.
Just an FYI, please let them know the cable committee is considering moving from the fourth Tuesday of the month to the third Tuesday of the month.
I'm sure they'll take the input of that member in that.
Kevin's just letting me, so you guys know.
Sure.
What is that? What is that? Just come here?
Never been to one.
It's a pretty easy committee. I mean, you talk about,
I believe they
what
meet
are they gonna buy for, like, the RCTV running, how much revenue they've gotten in.
Teams into forward.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Steve?
It's an evening meeting, I assume.
Yeah, Tuesday is at like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, you got Tuesday at 3 now. You can do.
Yeah, I don't need the
There you go.
more budget. Not for me.
All right.
I don't even know how happy I am, like, for the record.
Alternate, cable committee alternate. All
I'll be the alternate.
right. Capital Improvements Committee.
I'll do that one.
Second. And that's another, what's that, Tuesday also, Wednesday? Tuesday?
That all depends on, who knows? I don't want to give it exact dates because we didn't exactly keep a true schedule of the last several years, so.
Last year was brutal because it was Tuesdays and Thursdays between the two committees.
So that one I can't be sure because there's gonna be 2 selectmen. That's because I was on it a couple of years ago and I had to. Yeah, because I showed up and there was a quorum of the select board.
Yeah. I'll stay. I'm already on it. Look at you giggling over there.
Right. Raymond Coalition for Youth.
No, thanks. I'm trying to. cut
Okay,
down.
you're trying to go back.
Raymond Coalition for Youth. Anyone? That's during the day, right?
It's 9:30.
On the past days.
Thursday, once a month. I can do it for the most part, it's just doing taxi, it's a little tough to get down there. Well, I'll do it, nobody else will do it.
Okay. I'm just trying to minimize the during the day ones. They add up. I can do alternate for that, I guess. Take it. Mentor for student representative. Anyone?
Ethan, is there anyone that you would like to be your?
Don't even do that.
Hmm.
Oh, my lord.
And I'll do that one if you don't mind me mentoring your kid. All right,
Would be inappropriate for me to do it, so.
right. You're stuck with me. New Hampshire School Board Association. Dude, you're like a staple up there at this
I
point.
know, they're gonna hate me, because I keep bringing this to, we discussed that last year, well, I think you made the wrong decision last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
Approve it, we don't have to do it again.
exactly right.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Right, Joe. Alternate,
I think the better when they gave out food. Well, I should say lunch. Give out food, it's just not.
Lunch.
yeah. Any alternates there, anyone?
Pretty well tapped.
You say it's only one day. If I can't make it, it's usually, it's October, I think.
Yeah.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
One day for the year?
One day for the year. Yeah, well, it's a
All right.
very impactful.
I'm just trying to look at what I've already signed up for. And so one day for the year is like, probably I can squeeze that one in.
It just happens to be a
And that's only if Joe doesn't go.
That's just Saturday.
Yeah.
I haven't missed one yet, so.
Saturday's not making it a better thing, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Just wanted to.
It's easier to
be
schedule.
clear.
Yeah. All right, I'll go alternate on that.
RESS negotiations.
I'll do it.
Right, Joe, I guess I'll do the other one if nobody else wants to. Put the dream team back together. I thought it was painless enough. Everybody good with all these? All
I'm
right,
surprised you're giving me an option.
the illusion of an option.
Oh, okay.
All right. All that behind us. Here's my ticket. Board member input, possible future agenda items. Steve, I know he wants to talk about the last day of school.
Besides that.
Uh-huh.
I said besides that. You said you want to talk about the last day of school.
No, that's for the future. Yeah, that,
John?
Yeah, AI. For the students. I'm not sure at what age it would be the break off, but what I'm looking at is AI is part of our life now.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I think right now, there is no AI involved with student learning. Is that fair to say? Last time I knew.
I don't know, there might be introductions and stuff to it. Ethan could probably speak to a little bit more to high school. You guys talk about AI at all?
I think there was actually a meeting a couple of days ago where a math guy came in, but I didn't go to it because I don't want to like miss the 7 block. But not really at all, unless you're like looking up something online, because the first result will almost always be an AI answer. But other than that,
Oh, okay, all right.
And by that, I mean, colleges now, they're integrating it. Obviously, businesses are anywhere you can, anytime. So I don't know how that would look like, but just a conversation about that so that, I'm thinking at least at the high school level, to have conversations.
I mean, using it as a tool or just overall education about it?
I'm not an expert, so I don't know. I'm looking for input, but I think it's important that right now, my guess is students aren't allowed to even look at it. Is my guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll defer.
I would,
Yield.
I actually think it's a really good idea. And I think there's probably 2 areas we should try to look at. One is the ethics of AI and how to use it appropriately.
Yeah.
We do that a lot at work right now. In fact, we have a huge thing going on from our senior directors of we're doing a Gen AI challenge on how to use AI creatively and constructively in work. And I think that might be worth looking at. So like we don't want a kid writing a whole paper, just telling ChatGPT, write me a paper about,
Right.
Mark Twain.
Using AI to,
But because you can tell it to write whatever you want, but to use it as a research tool or to help you reformulate a sentence. Like there are ways to use it creatively, constructively, and ethically without it writing it for you. So it might be worth looking into some options for how do we use AI and what's the right places to use it. Because I mean, in math and science and in coding, there's co-pilots, they call them, in every program that you can code with. And it literally will be it's a panel off to the side and it says, hey, I can't figure out how to write this. can you write a function for me that does this and pushes a button and it'll write it for you? And you can take oh, this fits what I'm looking for. And then you take the code you need. So there are ways to use it to help without it being like plagiarism. So I think that's a great call. I think that's really good.
I mean, I don't even know if like, it's been so long since freshman year, but I don't even know if freshman seminar exists, but if it does, I'd say, oh, I mean, like, if it were to still exist, I'd say we might be able to tack it on to that as well and just like put it as a little segment. If we don't have any ideas on how to do it.
Yeah, so basically I'm looking for, sorry,
Go ahead,
I'm
John.
gonna break myself.
No, yeah, no, go ahead.
What, I guess, having Matt and the administration look at, what can we do for next year is what I'm looking for, because like I said, colleges are using it, the students are using it, the professors are having students use it. And obviously, any place and every place in business that can use it is using it. So.
I'd also put forward, there's a lot of dangers with AI, not more so like writing stuff, but just the replication and not being able to identify, and like not just in schools, but also like in real life, how dangerous it is, like with voices or just emails or just anything. So it might be good to explore that as well.
Yeah, we've all seen the fake athlete press conferences, I'm sure, where they say horrible things and you're like, hey, you wouldn't say that.
Some of the
But people believe it.
To go with what Eden said, I mean, it's not always right, because they do take, sources from correct places in the internet and not so correct places in the internet. And, I've seen things pop on my phone going, I know that's not right. You gotta do the research anyhow.
Anything else, Joe?
I think I'd like to have our representatives back here,
The state reps?
state reps. I think there's,
And Senator, maybe?
oh, yes, yeah. And I think we're having a lot of stuff go through Concord that, I mean, I think this town has voted on in the past. And some of the things that have come up, I think would be detrimental to, never mind the school. But the way the town voted before. Example is let's have 12 superintendents and let's vote them in, which I cannot imagine a worse proposition in the entire world for keeping local control, and having only 12 superintendents and then having politics.
for the whole state, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And how much are those guys gonna make? They make a lot of money.
Well, I mean,
Only 12 of them?
you've seen the way national politics has gone from, we spend what, $30 million a year. Now we're spending how many billions of dollars in this? I mean, and now you're having superintendents run for office. I mean, there'll be.
You get guys like
wrong
me, you
with that.
get guys like me running for it.
So,
You got my vote.
Clarification. So you're looking for the representatives to come in for the current session? To discuss, because everything is, I mean, they're voting on them now.
well.
By the time they get in here.
For the next session, it wouldn't be for,
Okay.
I know they've tabled certain things already.
So are you looking for things that we would want?
Things that we would want, or things that we should discuss with them that might be on the docket coming up?
Oh, yeah,
Put
but
on the
they,
back burner this year.
they might not
Clarify
know.
things.
I could move with that. All right, anything else? Anyone else?
I might count 2 items, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's the smallest list in 3 years.
I'll come up with whatever.
That's right.
Oh, well, now.
I'm gonna go on AI and have it generate a list for me of things to talk
Then
about.
supply it.
Oh,
Oh, here we go.
Dummy Terry. Here we go.
I know we're gonna be running off a default budget next year. I think one of the future items is that we gotta look for stuff that we do have a significant surplus, but unassigned fund balance this year, things that we could pay for this year. That way it would not impact next year's budget. Example, math curriculum, that's about $125,000 if we could pay for that this year.
Just kind of get a list together, you mean? Stuff that we might lose or not be able to do.
I mean, it's going to be on the future. The default budget is going to be on the future of the end of the
Excellent.
we need to. I think we need to make sure we come out, because we've done it in the past where we've had a default. But we've paid for things this year for next year.
Right.
We don't have to cut teachers just to, make up that difference.
Anything else? Matt, you got that list? All right. And you're up. Nominations,
I
resignation.
do have two resignations. Marie Daniels, Raymond High School Counselor, resignation effective June 30th, 2025.
John?
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Marie Daniels effective June 30th, 2025.
Second. Steve seconds. All right, discussion. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.
Julie Gamage, a middle school technology teacher, resignation effective June 30th, 2025.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Julie Gamage effective June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Steve seconds. Discussion. Call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous.
I have a question for Ray Daniels because I think she's the one who handles College Board. Do we know who's taking control over relations with it right now? Because I'm pretty sure she's the one who is in talks.
She's still here till June 30th, I think.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know
Yeah.
next year.
But we haven't hired anyone yet.
Okay.
Was that what it was? June 30th? All right, so we're good with that. All right, board and superintendent relations.
Go ahead. Okay, so a lot of times when myself or the principals are at reports, we like to talk about the good and celebrate the good. And then when we share the bad, quite honestly, things can go down rabbit holes. An example was, to be honest, John said I could use this, so I'm not going to get in trouble, was the cell phone discussion a couple weeks ago. And there's no, ask the questions, ask what the number one is, what's the issue is. And yes, I'll be honest with you, a few suggestions are helpful, but it was an hour of trying to fix a problem, and it got to the point where I was like, man, we've got enough here. I need some direction here. So, that's, we want to come in and we want to talk about the bad. I think sometimes too, the thing is that trying to solve the bad. It's not like we're not trying to solve it. We work very hard. We know there are issues, and I'm none of us have got their head in the sand thinking that, things are perfect. And I don't think they ever will be. And I don't think you could walk into any school and think things are perfect. So I think it's good that we share our issues, we share our warts, we share, and we appreciate feedback. It's just sometimes,
We're a little long-winded.
well,
You could say it. Enough already.
well, I can't, but
You could
it
say,
can be, it creates a point where sometimes I think, to be honest with you, the principals get nervous. I think they get tongue-tied and they get scared of what they're going to say. Of sometimes, what can be said back, or they're in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so they feel somewhat, they're not doing a good job, and they are. But we all can improve. I'm not sitting there saying that either. Does that make sense?
You want us to spend an hour talking about good stuff?
No. No, I want to share both. But I think too, when, and I'm not saying input is good. It's just somewhere along the line.
Maybe a bad thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Steve?
can I make a suggestion? And we use this at work all the time because we have meetings that will go crazy just like that.
Yeah.
We use Elmo. Enough, let's move on. So if it's getting to a point where you're like, all right, already, maybe just throw an Elmo at us. Is that okay with everybody? Just because it's
Terry, you just give me the.
I give tone up.
whatever high sign you,
We're done.
I hear you because I agree. And obviously I was part of that. It's important for folks. But I also understand we spend a long time talking about it.
And I'm gonna say this too, we changed the policy and we didn't even ask an administrator what they would want to do. You know what I'm saying? We went from just locking them up in the lockers to 0 to, well, let's, we can go and have them at study hall. And so I don't know, and again, I think there's a happy medium, to be honest with you. I think that any students using them for an educational purpose during the study hall should be allowed. There should be not a black and white drop dead, no. But you will have students who abuse that too. And so, yep, the teacher's got to walk around and they got to move and scan and say yes and no. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
Yeah, this should be on the board. We shouldn't rely on Terry to regulate our behavior. And
Yeah, of course.
so it's up to us. I don't think it would be appropriate to put Terry in that position or any superintendent. So I think that we need to be more cognizant of what we're doing. And also self-regulation is important. I'm guilty of all the above, so.
Yeah, we can hit ourselves too.
Um,
One second.
I just want to say that I think the phone things have been pretty good. The only thing that I've heard consistently, I've been looking for it as well, was the study halls. And they wanting them back. But other than that, I feel like it's been pretty well with the phones. I don't know. I feel like it's gone over pretty well.
I agree.
But the middle school, it's not in control. I mean, it is for certain grades, but like 7th and 8th grade, it'd be good to have some kind of, we need to come up with, and
Tony, we're kind of deviating a little bit.
Right for a moment, yeah.
Just,
Yeah, right.
we've got to stick to,
Okay.
if we want to talk about cell phones, we can set up another agenda item, but we don't really want to go too far down that rabbit hole, quote somebody.
well, I was gonna talk about cell phones. I thought this is so many issues, I think, that need fixing.
And if I may, I think in this situation, I think he was using it as just an example of something that went too long,
Right.
because it went really too long.
Yeah.
And more of and I agree. Like, I don't see why he couldn't if he really wanted to, if we weren't, but you're right, we should kind of be watching ourselves too. So,
Well, I just don't think it'd be putting Terry in that position.
No, it's not fair.
It's fair to him.
I guess my issue with that whole thing was not that it took us an hour to get there, that we ended up stepping on a bunch of toes ultimately when we got there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's to his point, is it kind of gets micromanagey in here sometimes. And I think,
I
that's
think everybody
what we
has,
need to be aware of,
yeah, everybody wants to do the best thing and then we end up doing too much.
good intentions, right?
Yeah.
All right, so where were we on that one?
All right, thank you.
Hold on, John's still going.
No, we're not done.
Oh, God.
I've asked Terry to have this conversation with us, and this goes back months. And I said to him, why don't we wait until the third Wednesday of March, when the new board starts, so that we just start fresh. But I don't want to put words in Terry's mouth. But I think there are more things involved than what he brought up, for example. And I don't want to,
Go ahead. Lead me down where you want to,
well, for example, there have been positions that have been talked about and Terry hasn't felt comfortable stating his actual opinion. And that's just an example of many examples. And I think it's important that Terry is able to give us his unvarnished opinion. And if he does not feel sometimes he can, and he's got administrators that aren't necessarily willing to do so. And we shouldn't be that board that won't allow the complete open conversation. Whether we agree with it or not, that's not, but we shouldn't be hampering the administration's ability to give us their opinion on anything. and their recommendation on something. And right now, we're up and I won't speak anymore because I don't want to, but Terry, if you want to add to it, but
Hand up.
Yeah, but
No, go ahead and then,
I mean, that's one of the biggest things I've always been with this board is that I want their opinion. I mean, we hire them because we have trust in them. And I may not always agree with their opinion, but we definitely want their opinion. And I mean, that's what they're there for. Without them, we're in the dark because we can't know everything.
yeah, it gets complicated, especially during budget season and other things, because I also, I realize that this town is, it struggles with budgets, it struggles with money. And so we need to start, we need to take a look at maybe some things and make some changes and some adjustments. Because I also feel too, we can't keep going the way we're going, with money. It's just, it is what it is. And I will say politically, until this state figures out another way to raise funds, people are going to be upset, or until the state government decides it's going to, do what they need to do. It's going to keep falling back on the local taxpayer. So I think sometimes too, we need to start being more creative and in positions. I'm also not a fool to think that, we have a community with some serious, trauma students. And so it takes a lot more work. It takes a lot more hands on deck. So we're constantly looking at that. So it does, I often get where I'm like, well, I don't want to be the bad guy here. And so I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stop because that's kind of where I think where I'm at. Because it's not fun when we get to that and nobody wants to do that. So that's kind of one of the other things I'm like, so if we, we can do this to do this, we need to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I was at too. Does that make sense without getting too far into the weeds?
John.
John would speak further in the weeds. I'm not doing, John. Not yet. I will moving forward.
well, I just say this. Over the last few months, we've had many discussions about positions being eliminated potentially. And we might be facing that with the default, depending on what we do. I will say that Terry has been reluctant and we've had administrators reluctant, and I won't go further than that. Offering up positions they think they can eliminate, but they won't say it because they don't feel comfortable coming to the board and saying it.
Well, we need to make this a safe space then.
Yeah. So I would say we should be working as a team. Because our job is to help them and help the schools. And they know what's going on, so I kind of agree. We need to rein in ourselves, but everybody should feel free to say what they need to say. Because how are we gonna fix any problems if they can't talk or we can't talk? Because we're afraid of backlash.
Yeah, so I'm definitely hearing, I'm picking up what you're putting down, as it were. And one of the probably more vocal, let's not cut anybody people. I apologize if I've made people uncomfortable. That's never been my intention. I will tell you I disagree. I will tell you I never want to cut if we don't have to, but I don't want folks to feel like they can't say it. So if anyone else is listening, I'm sorry if people didn't feel that way and if I was the cause of that. I do feel strongly that I'd rather see us cut programs than people, if that was the choice, but I understand, very begrudgingly understand that sometimes we just don't get a choice, but, yeah, I apologize if I'm the one that was making folks uncomfortable. I know I get very loud about people.
Well, I think if we don't have the conversation, we're not going to know. This is even involved positions that could have been cut that weren't because of the fear. So the administrators didn't even bring forward potential cuts.
Well, because historically we don't, like Steve said, react
Well-
well to person. But again, if they come
Well,
and say,
if
I
they-
don't need this person,
Right,
that's a
that's-
different story.
Well,
But it,
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's, if we have one classroom teacher and only 2 classrooms full of kids, it's different than if you have, if there's a margin call. That said, always bring forward every option. I don't think there's a problem bringing forward the options. And again, I'm sorry if folks don't feel like they can, but again, I will do my best to be a better open listener, but my default is going to be, I would rather not lose good teachers if we don't have to. Just be, if it's a margin call that we might need someone back the next year, and I know that's been a couple of discussions. So at the end of the day, I don't want people to be afraid to come on in front, we're just trying to figure this out with y'all as much as we can. And trust me, it's one of the reasons I don't want to do the budget committee this year. I understand there's a lot of tension around our budget and a lot of stuff that's going on, but I never want people to think they can't come in and talk.
Joe.
I'm gonna say this, I think one of the biggest issues of why it's a difficult thing to have when it comes to cuts, I'm gonna put it directly on the state. Because before we could sit there and talk about cutting a person, but they would still be in the default budget or whatever. And now you're cutting it out of both. So now and then if people don't go in there, how many people do we have watching our committees? Or when we have our presentations on our budget, that they sit there and listen or show up. We had a record, I think we had like 10 people at our morning meetings and we had 3 people here that was a record day,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, for the presentations.
Oh, for all the presentations, we had maybe 15 people. That's probably,
We ever had was at night too.
I mean, 3 was 4.
But yeah,
So, I mean, and when it comes to it, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues, especially with the board, is we're almost forced to double cut now. Because if you cut a position, you're cutting it out of this side too. And a lot of people don't go to our meetings, so they just take the lowest number. Well, then the lowest number, now you're cutting positions that you really do need there because you've already cut the positions that you don't need. And that's where I think that the whole, with the state actions 5 years ago now, completely screwed school districts because now they're looking, okay, we can, but we're probably gonna get the default budget now. What it is. And I think it makes the district even more fearful of looking at certain cuts because they don't want to cut a position that they might not need. And then have to cut an actual position afterwards because now you just double down on it. I think if the state kept it the way it was, it would have been better off for a lot of towns these days.
So while we're in the zone, are there other areas that people are afraid to come talk about? Is it strictly the cutting or will we get too long in the tooth on a discussion of which we have had a lot of? But I mean, are there other, while we're talking about it, is there other stuff that we could change? Like if we're gonna make an adjustment, let's make the adjustment. And that smile tells me there's probably at least 1 or 2 more things. And that's fine. This is the time to talk about it. We can't adjust. We can't fix
we got
it if we
to
don't.
principal reports and figure them out. Get them to where they're timely, effective. Because again, it is a good time to ask those questions on the data. I agree.
Yeah.
But it's like
The only time we have.
I'm John, I'm not denying it, but we couldn't even get through. Well, yeah.
I have a big suggestion on that one. Can we not do them all in the same night?
I'm fine with that.
That, to me, we end up spending 2.5, 3 hours and it's all great information, but I'll be honest with you, by the time we get to Port Pete in the high school or we go the other direction,
Amy, she was, yeah,
I am wiped and my brain is fried. And honestly, I'm not absorbing personally as much as I could if we separated them out one. And I don't know what's easier for you and for them, but
it would be easier. Again, to me, that would be easier.
yeah.
You know, whether you do 2 and 1, I think, to be honest with you, I think Pete's there's a little easier because he doesn't have that iReady data to go in depth where Pete tag team with somebody, with Tom or with Amy and then Amy or Tom on a different night.
Right.
We do 2 and 1. So, because we tend to get through his pretty quick. His is more informational in the grades, but we don't, we don't spend as much time, but we spend and those tend to be the more informative years too,
As opposed to trying to solve it tonight, can we, in between now and end of May, can we have a it on the agenda to have a conversation about what do we want to do about the principal's reports, and so that we can all have a conversation
Yeah.
per the agenda.
So I don't know if that's a full list for you, if there's more you want to send us.
Pretty good.
later.
It's, there are other things that, it's not exclusive to budget. That was your question about comments regarding administrators' willingness to come forward with something. It's
No,
more than just budget.
100%. We can't,
I thought you were asking Terry, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page.
yeah, so listen, we're all kind of making our way day by day, right? We come in, we get in the weeds and we end up either doing the wrong thing and
Some of us are more guilty than others.
that's okay. Me too. I'm with you on that, John. We both dig in deep and that's, sometimes we get caught.
I want to be clear on this. I appreciate the digging deep. But once we dug the whole 4 feet, we're good.
And once we hit 6,
Once we get to the frost line,
once we hit 6 feet, we all know what happens.
yeah, so I think sometimes the, I'm just gonna say this, that once we dug the hole, then the banter, the back and forth, then that, we've had another, between you guys, went another 3 or 4 feet, and it's okay, I quite honestly, to disagree. I'm also gonna say, once opinions are stated, I really, really, knowing how strong-willed 4 of you are, I haven't met you yet, Beth, but I'm thinking you're pretty strong-willed too. There's not much change in the minds.
Sorry. No,
There's not much change in the minds. Once you guys have said your piece, John's gonna vote the way he votes, you're gonna vote the way you vote. And so that's, but we will spend an hour trying to change people's minds.
no, and you're not wrong. I guess my only point to what you were saying before, John, is if there's stuff that we need to fix, we can't fix it unless you bring it forward. So thank you for bringing those up. As odd and I know awkward as it was, we can't change our behavior if we don't know there's something to change. So I appreciate you talking about it. I appreciate you bringing it up and digging a little bit.
Yeah, I want the holes dug. It's just, dude, we dug it through. We don't need to go.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. One of the things that Terry and I talked about, and it's for example, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm famous for bringing something up that I would like to have changed. And looking at an administrator, I think it would be important for us to ensure that it's just not one board member, in this case myself, asking for it, but the board supports that. So somehow we need to, if that type of request comes, the chair or the group of us make sure that it's not just Mr. John Harmon doing his thing again, and making sure that the board is supportive of that, whether
All
it's
make
through
John Harmon
consensus,
vote, yeah.
a consensus type of thing, that everybody's okay with that. type of thing.
Good.
As you guys were talking, and looking at the schedule, none of this really involves me or like anything I do, so, can I head out?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good night.
Welcome. Nice to meet you. Good day.
Too.
So one thing I'd like to add to that is that they also need to understand that we have to have these conversations among ourselves, and we only can do that here. We can't do it
Exactly.
at a barbecue. We can't go down for lunch. We have to sit right here and do it in front of the cameras, in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And we need to have those conversations. Now, whether they take them a certain way or not, I can't help the way that they interpret what we're doing. And again, like Steve said, I'm not here to break anybody's balls or make their day more difficult. But,
And I don't think anybody's saying they want that.
right.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of,
Yep. Give and take.
right, and not everything is negative, but
Nope.
like I said, we have to work our way through things, and unfortunately, they gotta sit there and listen to it. It's not always positive, but that's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
In my opinion,
I agree 100%.
because I got, I guess, reprimanded for having a bad attitude on the other thing I do. And someone complained about my negative attitude is making them uncomfortable. And I said, I have to do my job. I can't be worried about people's feelings and not saying what needs to be said because I'm worried about upsetting somebody. If something needs to be said, it needs to be said. And if they don't want to hear it, I'm not saying that them, but any instance where you're having those tough discussions, not everyone's gonna leave happy.
Nope.
That's just the way it is.
Do folks feel like there will be, you say they're afraid to say stuff or hesitant. Do they, is there a fear, if you will, that there'll be some sort of repercussions if they disagree or if they bring something up that might not, and listen, again, I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to say I'll agree to everything that comes out. We have to have a conversation, but I don't want folks to feel like they're going to be reprimanded or get in trouble. Like a hard conversation has to be as much on us to hear the hard things we may not want to hear as it is to them. But I don't want folks to feel like they're going to get in trouble or get fired because we disagree with their opinions. Is there a fear that there's going to be a punishment involved? I don't want that at all.
I think when a question is asked, and I'm not, please, this is not all the time, so don't. I think when a question is asked and they answered, sometimes the answer is not accepted. And so they're asked again and we go again. And so I think sometimes they're just like, well, I'm not lying.
The answer.
I'm gonna tell you hard. I'm not, and so I think sometimes they're just like, so then they get nervous about what to say and how to answer. Because they're almost trying to answer it the way it should be answered.
Right.
They're trying to find the right answer.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. I don't want them to tell me what they
Yeah.
think I want to hear.
Right. But I feel that once it starts going down the rabbit hole, they're,
Yeah,
how am I going to get out of this?
And then everybody's sitting there watching for 45 minutes, go, shit, I gotta go next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're sitting there sweating for 45
Well,
minutes.
That's why they're always like, who goes last? Because they're
Right.
tired. I try to rotate last because then it's Cupcake City. They're in and they're out.
I can imagine that.
It's like never goes. So I that's what I feel.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use as an example, let's just say the third grade data is not, and I'm not saying third grade, I'm just pulling a grade, people. So just the third grade data is not great. And let's just say we talk why it's not great and what we're doing to try to fix it.
Right.
And it's not, I can just say in the last 3 years, I think things have gotten better. They're still never going to be perfect, but I think that we are putting systems in place. And, if Amy talks about Marianne Nice and the wonderful things she's doing, she may not be meeting with every teacher, but I guarantee you, this consultant we brought in, she's had a great deal of success. And so, we can ask her what she's doing, how she's doing it, and then say, okay, and when we look back, we hope to see some growth. And sometimes, as I said too, and I tried to do it with that baseball card a couple of years ago, I can go through and almost tell you exactly why data went backwards. Parent passed away, parent divorced, just moved it. I mean, we can explain it and they can too. They can almost tell you exactly why certain kids didn't make growth. And sometimes it's not academics. It's other things that got in the way. And sometimes it is academics. Okay, well, what can we do? So, I think sometimes ask that question and okay, so, why didn't we see the growth? And they can, and sometimes, a teacher went on a maternity leave. It's not anybody's fault, but the individual coming in has got to try to catch up. And then they're teaching a different way. So that kid's got to get used to how that individual is teaching. So there are going to be some gaps that way too. And it's, it is what it is.
I just didn't want to think that people were afraid that coming here and giving us the wrong answer would somehow get them in trouble. Because at least not I don't think anybody feels that way, but I can tell.
Sometimes I get a little upset with the answers they give, so I get them in trouble. But
Well, but listen,
that's why you're
there's right
here.
answers and there's wrong answers, and sometimes they are, but
You know what?
for the point of bringing stuff up, just for the full transparency of what we're talking about, come say what you need to say, be truthful, be honest, be blunt, but know that we may not always agree, and that's fine, but never feel like you can't say it and never feel like you're going to get in trouble for saying it. That's my thought.
Well, then it comes down to, I'm even more mad that you didn't tell me when I find out,
I guess the point I'm trying to say is that,
Joe.
I'm calling it Elmo right now.
yeah. And I'm done.
Nope. Good, Elmo.
So
Thank you.
you good with that? All right. Committee reports.
I got added to 6 committees against my will.
You're gonna do.
I can make it 7 if you want to keep it. A couple,
I was at SST. They had two auto techs come in, one in year one in second year. They did a fantastic job. Tony, you might know this. I'm not sure and I got it right, but it's the Tea Time program with Toyota or something.
What?
It's a program with Toyota where a kid can go in, they go to school and they get like a huge head start on becoming a mechanic with Toyota. And what is it?
It's pretty sure it's Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota or something like that. So a young man talked about that. He actually had no interest in cars at all till he walked through SST and taken that interest, and now he got that scholarship for Toyota. So that was pretty cool. We actually have the most students I think we've had since we've been there. We actually have 58 students attending SST. I want to say off the top of my head, that might be the largest number. John, you might know more than I, since I've been here.
That's in the last few years.
Yeah.
Go back years.
That's
We had
animal
more students.
Yep, 6 in Animal Planet, 11 in Automotive, 6 in Biomedical, 4 in Building Construction. I don't know what BFMA is, but we have 5. Careers in Education, 5, Computer Science, 1, Culinary Arts, 2, Digital Media, 4, Health Science, 7, Health Science, 1, Pre-Engineering, 1, and Welding, 6. I don't think I got all of them, but overall, a very good meeting. Something that kind of, I don't know, it did bother me. Was the fact that a lot of second year students, like if you're in first year of construction, some of those kids aren't getting an opportunity to go to second year because they don't have enough slots. So they're having, basically they said kids who have got 85s and 90s who are doing really well. It's so competitive. They can't get in that second slot. School wide, just not Raymond, school wide. And I was like, that frustrated me that they don't have enough slots. That if a kid is in welding, they can't get in welding too. And they just don't have enough slot. So I don't know why. But very competitive.
Why would you take 100 kids for welding 1 if you know you can only take 50 for welding 2?
Part of it's they want to make sure that they, they got to
A little bit?
Yeah. Because they don't know. I guess, so here, maybe that's a good point. Maybe they're going to have to start taking a look at the numbers and increase the slots because kids are starting to go for the second year.
Right. And if I go for welding 1, you just assume
Yeah,
I
but
go for 2.
that's not happening.
Don't they do that for flights? Airline flights?
You bumped.
Overbook and
Yeah.
then don't you get a rebate or something?
Oh, yeah, get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would hope we could have the board look at doing things differently so that we don't invite them to do something and then tell them, well, halfway through,
Yeah.
you can't do it.
There was a lot of discussion about that. The other superintendents were asking some pretty pointed questions about why, and they did a nice job defending it, just saying that the kids are really, really, really strong and good and they're staying. So I think they're gonna have to take a look. It also gave credence too to adding electrical, because as you can see, most of the hand-on building trades, they're at 100% capacity. Automotive, 100%, building construction, 111, careers in education, ooh, that's a good one, 117. So health science, 114, welding, 98. So those hands-on trades ones are really, really full. Some other ones, not so much. So I think they're gonna, it's tough for Exeter because they got to come up with the money to put the program in, and then we go from there.
I think the electrical one though is the one that we talked about a couple of meetings ago that they were supposed to put in for next year.
Well, they weren't
As
because
best they could.
they weren't because they had to get her budget passed, and she had several CDAs to get through. So she said she wasn't going to move it this year, but maybe next year. And now she's gone, so Chris would have to be pushing forward.
Wasn't there like a cosmetology program that was starting there or something like
Nope, we
that?
decided not to go with that.
Okay.
Not enough room, too much money to build to build it.
Cause you have to, unlike electrical,
overhead
you
is-
kind of do it yourself, kind of, create it where, that way you would have to have.
You'd have to
sinks,
build
all
a
that
salon
stuff. Yeah.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah, the labs, the electrical lab, they just take another one of their labs and just turn it into an electrical lab.
I have a dumb question.
Yep.
And I know they have their a budget that they have to deal with. But when it comes to next year, if the rest of the towns wanted to have electrical and they're willing to pay for the electrical, why don't we do it that way? And then,
That we're talking that. I forget where that went. Remember we talked about doing
Yeah,
that?
I
We
just don't
decided
know.
to split up the cost. Wouldn't be that much. I think it was only, a lot. But when you're talking 30 million, it's not a lot. I think it was like 100 grand or something from each school and they could get the program up and running. But I think it's more about her having to hire the teacher. Like anything, it'd be 2 teachers, adding to the payroll. I know.
and there wasn't the state grant, I forget what the grant is actually called.
It's the, you know what yeah.
that's not around anymore because that got used up.
Yeah.
Last year was last year.
John?
Yeah, my concern doing that, having us pick it up, Exeter start saying, oh, we're not gonna offer this next year.
Yeah, no.
And then it,
Now they hold us over a barrel, right?
yeah,
But so I feel like we're throwing money away then if we get kids in there to do a welding one, they can't go any further and they can't go back. And then it's gonna cost them money because now there's a couple kids that are, they gotta start over and pick something else. It's
That being said, though, Tony, I think a lot of those kids get the welding one and they can get an ELO and go somewhere else and go and work for a welder if they want to and get the credit again.
Mhm.
And it's more, as we met that young man last year, who basically did it, got the ELOs through welding and went that route.
Mhm.
So unlike in the past where there was zero opportunities, if a kid really wants to, there's opportunities out there for him to go. I just don't think it's ideal with what you said too.
Mhm.
So it's not ideal, but I can't fix it either.
anyone else? Committee reports? No? Superintendent report?
Last week, I basically was the assistant principal at LRES because a number of injuries and sickness and workshops. I can say Friday, I was probably the most tired I'd been in a long time. But I can also say that even though we did, as I always say, I'm not saying it was roses every day. But there were some weeks where, things went very well. And, kudos to all the teachers over there for being extremely flexible. Kudos to the behavior team for being extremely flexible. While I constantly say sometimes it's 2 steps forwards and 1 step back, and some days it's 1 step, 2 steps forward and 1 back. It was good to get back into the action again. It was good to make connections with some of those kids. It was good to know that I can still sit on the floor and read a book and get up pretty quick. Not as quick as I used to, but I could definitely roll and pull real quick. But I just, it was enlightening and it was good to see the reading instruction, the math instruction, recess, cafeteria. So overall, an outstanding week. We had the job fair here today, or as Ethan mentioned, outstanding, over 30 vendors. The Air Force finally showed up, Steve. They were 10 deep at that one.
Army got,
Nobody, but anyways, yeah, the Army was here. They actually had 2 recruiters. Air Force, the only one that wasn't there was a Navy. We went from food service to multiple food services to, once again, a construction company, a heavy equipment company that basically will pay you to be an apprentice. You start out as a laborer, but they will pay you to become an equipment operator. That's your goal. The DOT was here hiring or looking, restaurants, cosmetology. It just was amazing. I had a hard time walking through the CAF because it's going on while the kids are reading and kids are down there. It was packed. Basically, the back parking lot over here was empty because we had to provide spaces for all the vendors to come in. So the kids did a fantastic job parking, elsewhere on the campus. I will say Jen walked in and thought there was something else going on at the high school. So the parking lot was empty and we all forgot. I'm like, well, at least you were paying attention. I just rolled in, parked, and walked in the office, wasn't even paying attention. But her first word, Terry, is everything okay at the high school? Oh yeah, it's a job fair, Jen. So, outstanding day, and, kudos to Holly Londo for setting that up.
That's it for
That's all I
superintendent?
got.
All right. Correspondence or other? Anyone?
yes.
John?
Doug Vogel reached out to me and Terry.
Yep.
In the last week.
Yep.
Regarding the CIP committee coming to the school board, regarding CIP. And I'm not sure the timing of this because I don't know if the CIP committee has been established with all its members. And if Mr. Vogel's on it, I don't know.
I don't believe that's happened yet.
So I'm just making you aware that that's out there. So
I was gonna say,
Terry responded, I'll just finish. Terry responded with the organizational meeting is tonight and we'll get you more information. So I'm passing the baton.
All right.
I was gonna say either way, the CIP committee either really early or really late coming to us.
I have opinion on that. If you want me to share it, I'll share it.
You don't have to, but every-
What's it called?
No, he did ask for the existing CIP information.
Um,
Anyways, not my, I'm just bringing it forward.
All right, you got something?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I know, I have, just from having been on the committee last year, he's coming early, but he said he was gonna start super early this year. I didn't know he was still on it, to be honest. Cause I know he was on as, Board of Selectmen. So I don't know if you guys are gonna maintain that or how that works for you guys.
I mean, I guess technically he is until it gets
Until it
reassigned,
changes.
yeah.
um,
That'll be Monday.
now I've lost it, but I was gonna say I have one more, thing we need to discuss in a future meeting.
Okay.
And that's-
Email it to me.
That's- I'm just gonna get the, yeah, okay with anybody else here. I know we changed the way we worded our, warrant articles and the aspects of how much people are gonna pay instead of increases, we kind of put both down. I think we just confused the crap out of more people, because I even saw on Facebook that they thought our taxes were going up $15. It wasn't. Yeah. And this is the reason why I was hesitant to change it before, because I thought our old way kind of worked, because it told people exactly what it was going up. And I think we kind of muddied the water even more, because we had, never mind one, but we had two things on there. You vote no for this is what it's going to go up. She's like, even if I voted no, I voted, my taxes went up $15.68. That's not what happened. So I think we need to have a discussion with that. I know the town wanted to get together with the school and try to do it the same. I don't know if that's exactly gonna happen, but I think I don't know, there seemed to be more confusion this year than there has been in the past.
Anything else? No. That's signing. You all signed it? You get it all?
It's all signed. Payables tonight, $799,348.73. Payroll, $491,220.55, for a grand total of $1,290,569.28. Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes. March 5th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to take the minutes of public minutes of March 25th, 2025. March 5th, sorry. I'll take it.
Second, discussion. All right, call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beth, you would abstain because you weren't there.
Abstain.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. You'll learn. You'll learn.
All those opposed, abstain. Okay. So what do we got next? Non-public?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of non-public minutes of March 5th, 2025.
Keeping them the same way.
Yeah, I'm just approving them as they are,
Okay. I'll second.
which will keep, yeah, I won't say anything more.
Make your second discussion. Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. So it's 4 yes, 1 abstention.
Make a motion
Yeah.
for a non-public, going into non-public session under RSA 91A-A-91-A:3, Roman numeral 2M.
Second.
Second by John. Roll call vote. Does it go that way?
Yep.
All right, Steve?
I'm sorry. I think you want to go in under C and M.
That's right.
It says M, but I'll say C and M.
The working agenda, I'm sorry, should have been updated with the C and M. Maybe I
Do you
did
want to
something.
amend your motion?
Thanks,
I will
Jen.
amend
I
the motion.
forgot to-
To include C and M.
Joe, John, second.
Yeah, I'll second.
All right. So Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Me, yes. Beth?
Yes.
Joe? All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks, Jen.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.